Kadish, what else is on our topic list today?
Westworld episode 5.
Westworld. Oh, that's
genre.
Right. I'm just gonna start out right now. This episode did not do it for me. I was not happy with this
What are we
episode.
talking about?
Westworld.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
Sorry.
Space that out.
That's all right. Kadish, you're better at doing this stuff. Why don't you set up what the overall, what happened in this episode, and then we'll talk about what we liked and didn't like.
All right, so this is episode 5 of season 3 entitled Genre. And this was probably the most action-heavy episode we've had yet. And we get to see Dolores kind of execute her plan to declare war on, how do you pronounce it, Alex? The AI?
Okay, see, they said it differently than I did in the actual show.
Rochambeau?
So, yeah, I have to...
Rehoboam?
I say Rehoboam. That's how it's pronounced in the Bible. It tells you exactly how to say it. It's Rehoboam. But they say it differently in the show, and I can't...
Is it Rehoboam?
I think they said something like that in the show.
So we get a lot more background on Sirach. I no longer think that he's a host for Rehoboam, because it's pretty obvious that he's just kind of like another Ford type character, Anthony Hopkins character, in creating this AI. And we really got to see the genesis of Rehoboam and kind of like the backstory there, intercut with Dolores's efforts to basically liberate all the human race from Rehoboam's master plan. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a very powerful episode. We definitely got to see that the previous versions of Rehoboam were named after the other kings of the Israelites. So I think it was Abraham, then it was David, and then Solomon, and Rehoboam in the Bible is Solomon's son. So this is like the latest incarnation of that. And one of the interesting things that came out of this episode was that Rehoboam singles out what they call outliers. And these are people who are so unpredictable that they throw all of its predictive models out the window. And so Sirach has made it his mission to kind of isolate these outliers in order for him to predict the future, basically. And his own brother was one of these guys. And we get to see like what happened to him. And we get the sense that Aaron Paul's character is also one of these outliers, and something was done to him to kind of keep him from, breaking out of the mold. We don't quite know what. It was just kind of hinted at. But this entire episode, Aaron Paul's character, he gets injected with this drug called genre. And it's a drug that makes you perceive reality like you're in a movie. And so it goes through different genres of movies as you're going through life. And so he's basically tripping balls this whole movie. It was an interesting way of doing things because depending on the genre of the movie he's experiencing, we would see the actions playing out in accordance with that genre, with like the music and the cinematography and stuff like that. It was a kind of a cool little idea. I don't know if it really landed well, but the action in this episode was really like AAA movie quality. Like firefights, and
the
car
stunt
chases.
choreography, and
like it felt like a Christopher Nolan film at certain points.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Bader, did you watch this episode?
I did. I watched it last night because I knew we were going to
What'd you think about it?
Or
are you done setting it up? You're good?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
There were parts of it I liked. Parts of it. It's just like the rest of the show. I don't like this show.
I know.
I really don't like this show.
Did you at least like the action in this episode?
The slow speed car chase was interesting. Visually, it was shot well. I thought it was very pretty. But the thing that stood out most for me about the show was the score, was the music.
Yeah.
And just on that alone, I can appreciate this episode. The whole series is great music.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to say about it.
Okay.
But the music set the mood, and I could probably have just closed my eyes and listened to the episode as it went along.
All right, cool. So, Jude, what did you think about episode 5?
I really like this episode, and it kind of solidified a theory for me. And it's weird what did that. So I kept thinking about. Can we talk about theories?
Yeah.
Okay. So I kept thinking about that scene where Bernard is like walking through by the pool, by that hotel, and the scene focuses on the little boy, but in the background you see the space shuttles. And I kept thinking about that and thinking like, I felt like that was a clue and they were trying to distract us with the little boy, but what the scene was really about was those spaceships. And I kept thinking, why? What does that mean? And then when this episode, this song, Space Odyssey, and I was like, are we not on Earth anymore? And that's my new theory, is that we're not even on the real world anymore. That when they destroyed France, they didn't just destroy France. I feel like they destroyed the Earth. And then when Sirach said something about like, when we came to the new world, and I was like, is he talking about a new world or is he talking about America? Because if a part of the world was destroyed that much, it wouldn't be unreasonable for that to spread to the rest of the world. And maybe they really did need to create an entire new world.
You think they terraformed Mars or something?
Maybe.
Ooh.
That's my theory.
That's a juicy theory. That's good.
That's a crazy theory.
It's crazy. It's out there. I don't believe it, but I like it.
Jude was referring to the SpaceX. Jude was referring to the SpaceX style rocket ships that were coming back for a landing.
Landing down.
I believe it was 2 episodes ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
When Bernard and Scruggs were hiding out at Stubbs were hiding out at a little motel. But the interesting thing about this episode, did you guys ever watch Jonathan Nolan's other show, Person of Interest? See, I feel like he's recycling himself because that whole show was about this guy who creates an AI that can predict crime. Mm-hmm. And it's basically the AI becomes so powerful that it can predict the future, and it starts trying to use humans to shape events to try to prevent a rival AI from destroying the planet. And it's kind of like this metaphor of man building their own god. And then,
they mentioned that like 2 or 3 times in this episode.
Yeah, like this season actually feels like a future version of Person of Interest, if you've ever watched that show. And so like I'm a little disappointed that he's kind of like just recycling like the stuff that he did in a previous show, but at the same time they're doing it so well that I really don't mind it all that much. And I just felt like seeing Dolores' plan come to fruition, where she's breaking all of humanity out of their loops that Rehoboam
She did that, right?
Yeah. She basically sent a mass text message to everybody.
Mission accomplished then.
More or less.
So what's the rest of the show
It's like
about?
phase 1 of her ultimate plan, though. First, she has to allow man to destroy each other, and then she has to liberate.
What she's planning on happening, or she's trying to accomplish, is she's trying to get the masses to turn on the elites that have them under control.
Well, she's trying to get them to break the control that Rehoboam has over them. Yeah. But in addition to this, we also found out what Bernard's role was, because we kept asking, why did she bring Bernard back to keep her in check? That doesn't make any sense. But we found out that she's counting on him to liberate the outliers because of his, kind of natural compassion for humanity. So that's his role in her plan is to go out there and save these outliers from their captivity and basically like reprogramming, because that's just who he is. And that's why she didn't kill him. That's why she, reincarnated him and had nothing to do with him keeping her in check.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
I almost what would you guys do if you got a text message from the U.S. government that has your complete profile and everything that you've ever done and the reason why you are who you are on your phone? All of a sudden you just read it and you're like, holy crap. Like, I don't know if that would break people's...
I'd retweet it. Be like, hey guys, look at my future.
There you go.
And then I get a bunch of Birds of Prey stands criticizing me.
You racist.
I don't know. It probably wouldn't bother me too much because
I was going to say,
I'm a the future is what you make it kind of guy. It's not predestined.
Yeah,
So
I don't know if it would be enough to get people to break their mold. Just seeing somebody, like, I don't know if they know where it's coming from. I don't know if they understand the context, because when they revealed that to Aaron Paul's character, Dolores explained to him what was happening and what the context of the information that he was getting. Nobody else got that. So you just get this random text message that says, hey, your friends think you're an asshole. You'd be like, oh, well, all right, well, whatever. Screw them.
I'm kind of, if I would have gotten a text like that in my early 20s or something, it might have it might have affected me a little differently.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I just turned 50. I don't care what other people think.
Well,
I don't.
Also, the state of the real world in Westworld is very precarious because it seems like it's almost like a Brave New World scenario where a lot of these people are placated by those like drug chips that they put on the roof of their mouth, and basically they're controlled by the elites, and they feel kind of like oppressed, but at the same time they're kind of compliant with it.
Yeah.
And this thing, it's almost like Rehoboam keeps them all in a state of like perpetual sleep. And this thing kind of woke them up. And so like, it was like a jarring experience for them. And, throughout the episode, the guy that they kidnapped, he has these info glasses that give him a direct connection to Rehoboam. And he knows the ultimate future of everyone that he sees because Rehoboam has like their
life
path planned out. And it's a really interesting kind of take on like, fate versus self-determination. And that's kind of like one of these weightier things that, people who criticize the show for being too complicated don't like to think about, simply because it's so heavy. And hard to quantify when you're watching the show.
Are you just calling me dumb?
In regard to
I
never said you.
In regard to the glasses that Liam puts on, when he looks at Caleb, he has a very strong reaction. And I think that there's way more to Caleb's backstory than we've been given so far. And I think Dolores absolutely sought him out and directed that whole, that was not an accident.
Yeah.
I think he's an outlier. I feel like his whole backstory is a lie. He's been programmed, and I feel like he's an experiment to see if they can like reprogram these outlier people to be functional in society, or if they can just like keep them controlled. And I think that she sought him out because of that. And on Mars. Also, I think we're dealing with two different timelines. Okay. So we'll get into that.
There's also, the one criticism I had about this episode was that at a certain point, some people show up to shoot Caleb, and Dolores gets in front of him and takes the bullets, and she just shrugs it off like she's perfectly fine, but like
zips her jacket off and moves on.
In the early episode, she gets shot and she's like on death's doorstep, and it's just like, what is...
There's some serious inconsistencies with Dolores' superpowers.
Yeah,
well, that's what I mean.
Why does Maeve, when she gets run through by a sword, fall down dead? Why does Dolores, when she gets shot, sometimes she's like barely able to remain functioning, and other times she's perfectly fine?
Yeah, when Dolores got shot, I think that was all part of her...
plan to get
Caleb. She ended up in that tunnel where she knew Caleb was going to be. She was pretending to be on death's door. She knew that he would help her. And then, I mean, she was in that ambulance for like 20 seconds. And then when the hitmen showed up, she was fine. All of that was an act.
I always thought what do they call them? Synths? Robots? What are they?
Hosts.
Anyway, when they were in the park, they died just like a normal human would.
Well, they were programmed to do that, though.
Is that what was programmed to do that? I mean, okay. I guess that makes sense.
They were programmed to die according to whatever injury they may have sustained. Once they broke that program, then they were like Terminators. Okay, so I'll go over my thoughts on this episode. The plot was fine. The revelation of what happened and Dolores activating her, Order 66 type thing, it all worked fine for me. I thought the genre drug and Aaron Paul's characters, Caleb, right? Mm-hmm. I thought Caleb's experience throughout this episode was completely distracting. It did not work for me at all. I
completely agree with you.
The music changes, the cinematography changes. It was just so distracting from what was actually going on inside the episode. I was like, can we stop doing this so I can focus on what's happening? Because I thought it was just distracting. I was like, I don't like this. I don't like there was like a weird comedic moment where he had that love interest moment with Dolores when the music changed to like lovey-dovey music and there was like a little halo around her head. I was like, really? Are we doing this? This is like a Instagram filter. Like, what the hell? I didn't care for that at all.
I feel like there was some important shit in there, though. Like, he was having some flashbacks, and I feel like that was stuff that they had programmed over to keep him from remembering, the drug was bringing it up. So all of the craziness was important.
I can understand that. That's a good point. But I just felt like the visual cues and the audio behind it, what the drug was actually doing to him, distracted me from those things.
Also, I feel like his acting was like amazing.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he's really good at acting like he's high. You practice on Breaking Bad.
Science.
Yeah, science.
How many more episodes do we have of this
3
to distract us?
3 more?
Okay, good.
You don't like this show at all, do you? Wow, okay. Did you say your piece about this episode, or do you?
Music was good.
Okay, that's right. You did say
Whatever, it's fine.
that. All right. Well, anybody?
Genre drug was
any final comments on
stupid.
episode 5 of Westworld? Go ahead.
So I think that we're dealing with 2 different timelines. I feel like Maeve and the distillery was in the past, and I feel like the timelines are going to catch up in this week's episode.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't see Maeve at all in this episode. No. It was all pretty pointed on one event.
We didn't see the Man in Black either.
Yeah, that's interesting. They don't have that many episodes to wrap those things up, so we'll see what they do.
We did get a lot of Sirach, though, and I really liked getting
His backstory.
And seeing how he kind of became a tyrant, essentially, and the way he manipulated that guy who funded their research.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
all
that was pretty
stuff.
good.
I loved his brother, and he was like, he's distracting me. Can we just kill him? It's like, That was pretty funny. Okay, any final thoughts on Westworld's episode 5?
I'm really loving this show, this season, and I can't wait to see what happens.